Hello and welcome everyone. Today we are going to talk a lot about data, and with me is a data expert. Before I go to Kapil, who is into data migrations and lot of data related projects, I will just give a quick glimpse about a common question which you all are posting on LinkedIn and different channels. That why I don't speak a lot. So my goal is to extract a lot of information from whatever expert is on the podcast, so that it's like a short episode but more quality information from the expert. With that being said, I will move over to Kapil. Hi, Kapil. A very
Hi,
warm welcome and good to see you.
thank you. Same
And
here, likewise.
likewise, very nice. So, why don't you introduce yourself? Like, give a glimpse of your journey, how it started.
Sure. As Abhinav has already introduced me, myself, Kapil Varma, and it's been 20 years I'm into the Salesforce fraternity. And for the last 20 years, I've been working just doing mostly data migration and data integration. So far, journey is very good. When I started my career in Salesforce way back in 2004, there was just one company called TECOs. We had a very small office in Okla. From there, we all started working on. And since then, I've seen many ups only in Salesforce because at that time, nobody used to take seriously Salesforce, especially in India, because it was a pretty new market. I still
Okay.
remember 21st April 2004, my first day.
Okay. So, your job started with the data and Salesforce, or you tried some other
Yeah.
careers before getting into?
No. I'm purely into database for last 30 years. Prior to
Okay.
that, I used to work for event management companies, those who used to handle large clients like Microsoft, HP, HCL for their data events and all that. So being used to do their data warehouse and all that stuff. I started
Okay.
my data career with Lufthansa. Actually, not directly with
Nice.
Lufthansa, but I
Mm-hmm.
used to do query on the Lufthansa milestone more in 1997. It
Okay.
was DB2 database. And it was not easy to write queries on DB2 database. At that time, internet was also not very fast.
Okay. So this part I'm very interested. Sorry to cut you here. So you started with DB2, or I think you have tried other databases also. Like you mentioned, event management company. What kind of databases there?
So prior to Lufthansa, I used to be a faculty at Asset. Over there,
Mm-hmm.
I used to teach C,
Mm-hmm.
Oracle, Power Builder, Java.
Okay.
So I started this in 1996. And then
Okay.
in end of 1997, I started working for Lufthansa, not directly, obviously through partners.
Okay.
So for 1.5 years, supported the Lufthansa worldwide to work on DB2.
Mm-hmm.
Then I shifted a little bit of my time for 1 year to software development using Visual
Mm-hmm.
Basic and C. That was 98 and 19.
Okay. Yeah, Visual Basic and desktop apps were popular. Right.
Yeah, Visual Basic and SQL was there. SSIS server was there. We used to have Windows NT network LAN. So I used to work on that also. So
Okay.
the same company for which I used to work for Lufthansa. After that project was over, they started that, okay, that was a CRM company, support
Mm-hmm.
Indian company for their loyalty program. So they decided that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, why don't we have a software created for them so that it's easy to manage the customers. So that's how my
Okay.
journey started for the software development. But after 1.5 years, when the department was set up, the next main area is managed data. Now you got the data of the customer, and at the time, there's nothing which you can take out from the data. So as all we know, data is very important. You have the data, but how you want to use the data, that was a challenge. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
duplication, cleaning, and all this stuff. So then over
Mm-hmm.
there, I set up my own department for data manipulation, actually. Data clean, where I used
Mm-hmm.
to do data cleaning, prepare data for labeling, for mailing, because at that time, I'm talking about 2000, when a lot of
Mm-hmm.
mailers used to go, gift used to go. There was not too much
Right.
email was happening because it was still new. So
True.
main
True.
area of communication with customer was mail only, mail and gift. So that
Right.
is how I actually did my second level of data work, where we used to have SQL, created a software onto it, did duplication. Even in fact, we developed a software called KP1, KP2. We just call it, basically a lot of data punching used to happen. So the two
Okay.
operators is going to punch the same record separately, and this application used to compare both the record to make it sure that both the record has entered correctly to increase the quality of the data. And then when this
Okay.
data goes into the SQL, there was no other software available for deduplication. SQL was there. SQL introduced their function called SoundX, if you remember, if you have heard of.
What is that?
So
No, I don't.
SoundX, remove vowels from the word, and then you do a
Okay.
matching, and it gives you the percentage of the matching with the second one. Okay. So
Okay.
based on that logic, we develop a software to compare the data, whether it's duplicated. Because, right
Okay.
now it's very easy because every data has an email address and a phone number. Or if you talk about
Mm.
US, you have social security numbers. There are other ways of finding. There are a lot of data. You're talking about 2000 where people don't used to have email. They don't used to have even mobile number.
Well, yeah, I was thinking, what is the stable key? Landline number, maybe?
Yeah, landline number, and that too landline number is shared because the teams, and at the time in an office, if you have an office data, landline numbers are be shared by many people. So you cannot
Right.
just duplicate based on the landline numbers. Okay. So it was a
Mm.
win-win situation at that time to find the duplicate based on the name, the addresses, and some sort of parameters on phone numbers if it has. So yeah,
Hmm.
after that, I shifted to another event company where they used to do a lot of events for big companies like HCL, Microsoft, Intel, their seminars and everything. So we
Okay.
used to have a lot of huge data. So, you need to manipulate, you need to create a report. After the event, they used to have a questionnaire, which is hard for paper. They used to give to every
Right.
people who joined the conference, fill up their comments. Used to have a team of 400 people, out of which 350 people were only used to do entry. And
Data entry operators.
yeah, 20, 30 people for me to just convert that data into proper format so that it can be saved in the SQL. And then I
Okay.
used to work on that data to get the proper result after an event has happened, or to find a new audience that, okay, this should be a new target audience based on your prior events, what you have done.
Okay. Okay. One question here. So, like that time there was no cloud. So, where do you keep your databases, in the event management company's office or nearby data center?
No,
How do you set?
our own server. MS SQL Server
Okay.
was our own server, and we used to have a huge database. And separately, we used to have database like I was handling these three major clients. So we used to have
Mm-hmm.
three servers for that. Those servers are
Mm-hmm.
strictly monitored under the security policies. We were just connected
Mm-hmm.
as a node. At that
Okay.
time, it was not a dummy node. It was an intelligent node because you need to install SQL Server client onto your machine in
Client at your
order to
machine.
access the SQL Server on that. And luckily, my building was
Okay.
next to Microsoft Office. And I still know this. Two cables actually used to follow from Microsoft to my room to one of the machine which we used to use for Microsoft. And there was a time frame also, means in the morning at around 9 o'clock, they switch on that connection, and
Oh,
6:30 they used to switch off that connection.
okay. So even if you're behind on
So they
schedule, you
just
can.
no.
I'm just saying. I mean, even if you're behind on schedule, you want to overtime, you can request that. Okay.
So we have to go to Microsoft Office for that. You can't do it from your
Okay.
office. That's
Okay.
the strict policy. But that connection will
Okay.
get closed at 6:30. That's it. So yeah,
Okay.
that's
What is the
how.
work pressure like?
So
Yeah, I'm just asking, what is the work pressure like? Because the tooling was not very strong that time.
so that's why we used to have more manpower.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the project, we used to have more manpower. So if it's a big event,
Mm-hmm.
we used to hire trainees to do the data entry. But yes, the workload was too much, no doubt. It was easily
Mm-hmm.
on a day 10 to 12 hours a shift, where we just
Mm-hmm.
used to work 6 days a week. Only off we used to get seconds. That's how the work pressure was. Yeah. I still remember when I developed my first software for Obrois, for their Obrois loyalty program, which I proudly say that it is still running. I created that in 1998 or 99. I still remember that I spent 4 days continuously, day and night, to finish that application And then when I went to office to give a presentation, I was shocked that there were 15 senior management from abroad were in our
Mm-hmm.
office to have the demo.
Very nice. Sorry, coming back to that workload angle. So you said data entry operator. So I think they are having a fixed job, okay, 10 to 6 or that thing. But then you are more into that data processing, cleaning, transformation part. So that's where maybe your job and some other seniors must be the ones who are spending like late nights and 12-hour shifts. So can you expand a little bit on that
Okay,
part? How?
sure. Entry used to data entry used to happen 24 hours a day,
Mhm,
362 days a year. Data entry never
mhm,
stops. We used to have 8
mhm,
hours shift. So there's multiple process. One level of people is who do the data entry. Okay.
mhm,
Second level of people are who used to do quality check on the data which has been entered. Third
mhm,
level of people who used to format the data and put into a client prospective database structure in which they want. Next level of
mhm.
people used to query that data to filter out the target audience. That is one level.
Yep.
Then the next is once the event has been over, how many people who attended versus how many people we have invited. After that, then you
Okay.
prepare a report on based on their answers and questions what they have given. After
Mhm.
every event, it normally takes us 2 to 3 weeks to give them a result of what actually happened in your event, how successful your event. So then that report goes to the event management team, who then do a cost analysis that how much money we have spent on this event and what is an ROI on that. So that much
Okay.
time it used to take because there was a lot of effort. There was no automation, nothing was there, everything was done manually. So yeah,
Mm.
but now these days, so it's very easy. Means you look at
Easy,
Salesforce
right.
report and everything, analytics. It's very easy. The click of button, everything is there. But that was not the stage. It was very yeah.
Right, right.
Actually, one of my friend who was about to join TECOs at that time, Salesforce, and then he didn't join. But then he told me about that. Yeah, this is something Salesforce is come. Why don't you just have a look?
What is TECOS? TECOS is a Salesforce consultancy.
Salesforce partner.
Okay.
TECOs was a Salesforce partner in US.
In-
They used to have in the office in US, Boston,
Okay.
and then they have an office in Delhi, where there used to be
Okay.
only 4 and 5 people. And I was the first one who joined as a data migration specialist. Means
Okay.
because I was doing this kind of work for around 6 7 years before I joined TECOs. I just needed a change. I just wanted
Hmm.
to see what this new technology is.
But Kapil, one question here. At that time, are you aware like you're getting into cloud, you're switching from data centers to a
No,
cloud base?
nothing. No awareness, nothing. It was just I needed a break actually. So I thought I don't want to sit idle because break does not mean that you just sit idle. Break is something you
Right.
divert your mind completely differently. You know. So
Mhm,
I just needed a break and I thought, let us give it a shot for 3 months and 6 months. Let's see what is
mhm,
this. I was not aware what is the Salesforce. I just know that this is something I need to work on it, which I used to
mhm.
learn. Always.
Okay.
Since my first day of working, I somehow have this passion about data. So I just joined. They were also happy knowing that a person coming for 6 7 years knowledge of databases. And this is that
True.
I asked them this stupid question, what is data migration? So this is
Okay.
that, this is an application and you get the data you need to put. So I thought it's something similar like my team used to do data entry and then they used to put the data into this particular format. It's a data migration, but it is happening on
Uh,
the web. So that's how I said, okay, let's see. But yeah, it was exciting. And then it was a great journey. The kind of Salesforce at the time was Imagine 2004. There was nothing much. It was just account, contact leads, and
True.
opportunities. Nothing much actually to do in Salesforce.
So you started in 2004 in Salesforce. And when was your first Dreamforce from there?
2006 was my first Dreamforce.
2006. Okay. So how was the journey from there? Like what Salesforce changed or what that TECO's relationship changed in your career?
If I talk about journey, yes, it is very good. It is exciting, and more than exciting is it's are you passionate about your work? That's make you, connect to the same journey.
Okay.
It's difficult to be a part of doing something if you don't love your, if you don't enjoy
That's
it.
true.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But journey was, if I can talk about data migration and data integration also, which I did. So just to
Mhm.
give you a little bit that, you know, it was new. At
Mhm.
that time, we used to do a lot of migration from Goldmine and Act, especially for Australia, Singapore. There were a lot of companies, lot of US companies. So sometimes it was very hectic, means you are working in the morning. You used to have early morning call with the Singapore counterparts because of the time difference. Then you shift to Singapore. After you finish with Singapore, then you shift to UK. After you finish with UK, you shift to US time. So again, yes, initially it was low when I joined this, but then at the stage, it come up that again the same 14, 15, 16 hours, because the tools
Mhm.
what we used to have to do the migration. I still remember my first big project. It was for Schneider Lift. You must have heard about
Mhm.
Schneider Lift.
Yes, yes, yes. Very
So
popular
for
brand.
Schneider, we did the migration, and I
Mhm.
was in the office, stayed for 4 days and 3 nights. It
Mhm.
was a so big migration. It was data was in millions, and we used to use a tool called Pervasive. It was very slow. There was no option for bulk migration and anything, nothing. Yeah. At that time,
Okay.
Pervasive was the only tool which has an API accessible for Salesforce. That was the
Okay.
only tool available for migration. In 2006 only, during Dreamforce, Salesforce has introduced this data load. But did you
Data
know the
loader,
fact
desktop
this
application.
data loader is not Salesforce tool? It's a third party tool,
Okay.
because we started
Oh.
using it 4 5 months prior, where before Salesforce introduced this tool, which I
Okay.
was the first person in the batch who they invited to learn about their new tool data loader. And when I actually went for the
Mhm.
training, after 10 15 minutes, I raised my hand. I said, I don't know this tool, because that tool was named something
You
different,
tried before
which was
acquisition.
prior.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, we were using it 6 months prior to that. Before that
Right.
tool, before Salesforce announced that this is our tool. But yeah, the data loader was a game
Load.
changer, because initially data loader was simple. You just convert your file into CSV file and import. It just used to
Mhm.
export error and successful. But while on the database, big database, you don't have other tools. So you still need to use Pervasive to do the manipulation and transformations, you know.
Mhm.
So that is, but yes, at that time, if I talk about between 2006 and 2010, huge market opened up for the tools. Like I remember,
Okay.
Castellan came up. Awesome. The
Yes.
moment Castellan came up, Pervasive was completely gone. I mean, gone. Instantly, within 1 or 2 years, everyone started using Castellan for complex migration and for integration. I'm still shocked why IBM, after purchasing Castellan, they have closed down their tool. It was an awesome.
I've heard of Castera, never used it. Is it a desktop based or is it cloud based?
No, they have the both the versions. It was the cloud
Okay.
based, and I was again the lucky one to go to the Castellan office also. It was in San Francisco, Mountain View. So Castellan
Hmm.
did very nicely things. I've seen their server rooms. There was stack of servers lying one after another. The big stacks in which one stack you have 4 and 5 servers. So what?
Hmm.
Every time they sell a client, they just align a space into a particular server.
Mhm.
That is how they started it. Then they came up with their desktop version, but their own version also, where you can install it on your machine. But that was very costly. I still remember to buy a Castellan at that time, I'm talking 2009 and 10, $275,000. That was the cost of Castellan. I still remember the amount.
I got it.
But they were giving license also, like not license means cloud sort of, where you just buy for the organization. Then an
Okay.
era came, Informatica Cloud coming.
Yeah. Right.
Informatica Cloud again, another an awesome. But these tools, Casteran and Informatica, they are paid applications. You know,
Hmm.
and mostly customers. It was a challenge for small and mid-size people
To
to
justify
afford the
the cost,
cost,
or right, right.
justify the cost. For people especially who are doing migration, this is that we spend $20,000, $30,000 or $15,000 for 1 year subscription, which we don't have to use.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. After migration, they will never go back to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we used to use data loader only. If the database is big, we used to use SQL Server to prepare a CSV file and then again use data loader. So during
Okay.
that era, Salesforce has also started selling Caster of
Okay.
when Caster was at. When Informatica comes, they shifted to Informatica. But Informatica was there for a small period because then this Boomi, Jitterbit, all these came up parallelly in between, which was good
Right.
also. Means all tools were good. I've used Boomi also. I've worked on Jitterbit also because that's the industry segment was.
Hmm.
But still, they were paid. But then all of a sudden, Microsoft jumped in with their Visual Studio announcement in
Okay.
2019-20. There was a company called Kingswaysoft who introduced a connector on your Visual Studio to connect your
Okay.
Salesforce to Visual Studio. Now,
Okay.
if you're buying a SQL Server, Visual Studio is free. What this Kingway software did it, that the tool they gave, the tool still they give the tool free if you are using it for migration. But if you want to do an integration, then you need to buy the license.
Okay. What's it?
Kingsway Software.
Kings was.
Kingsway Software is a
Okay.
company who has this connector. There are 3, 4 other connectors also available in Visual Studio, which allow you to connect to the Salesforce. So
Okay.
just this works. So now you just use SQL Server to import your data using Visual Studio, do your transformation in SQL, and then use Visual Studio again to export, import your data into the Salesforce. Now, the reason why I shifted to Visual Studio was another story is when this COVID started, I thought of doing my own freelance.
Okay.
So I shifted to freelancing. Now in freelancing,
Okay.
nothing, these tools are not free. When I used to work for Salesforce partner, Informatica, or these people used to give us free tools. Just guys,
True.
please use this our tool. You can promote. So we used to use it. But now I did have an access. So I was in a search of a tool which can be used effectively for doing my migration. So that's how we shifted
Mhm.
to this. I was able to find this Visual Studio. And, during initial 3, 4 months of COVID period, there was no work, nothing. So, it's better to learn a new. So that's
Do
how my
R&D
journey
on it.
started. So now my I will say 95% of my migration, I use SSIs. I don't even use data.
SSIS means this Visual Studio.
Yeah, Visual Studio. Maybe use Visual Studio.
Okay. Okay. And you mentioned that the plugin is actually free. If you want to import into SQL Server, or if you want to export from SQL Server to
No, no, no.
Salesforce.
It's completely free. If you want to create an
Okay.
integration, see, you can use Visual Studio to do your integration project also. Migration happen
Okay.
one side where you can doing it on your machine. But in order you want
Hmm.
an integration to work, you need to host it on the website. Okay.
Hmm.
So for that, you need to buy the license for the connect.
Okay.
But the moment you want to
Hmm.
host that into a cloud where this will run, then you need to buy
Or
the
not?
license.
Okay. Okay. And now, if you compare the cost,
Not cost.
not costly. Okay. So how do you stack the
$100
cost?
a
Like
year.
data loader, not very costly. I think even small businesses can easily afford it.
For
Right.
indeed, migration, you don't need it.
Right. Right. And it's just the integration.
Yeah,
It's an
that's
integration
it.
cost, right? Live running integration, $1,200 a year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's it.
Mm,
Nothing.
that's very sweet.
See,
Yeah.
yeah, see, these days, lot of because of the data breach and everything, people says that we want to give you remote access where you can work on. So we probably provide them two options. Either you go and buy AWS machine where we will install, means in AWS, when you buy AWS, you know. You can say that, okay, I need Visual Studio, I need SQL. They will charge you per month basis. And then
Right.
you can install Visual Studio connector and then you are done. But if client says, no, we want to do it in our own in-house machine, we'll say that, okay, go and buy SQL Server. That's the basic thing what you need for a migration. If you ask me, Kapil,
Mm.
what do you need for a migration? I will say, I just need a SQL Server. I need Visual Studio. On top of that, I will install this Kingsway connector. And then obviously I need Excel to open the success file or error file. Sometimes you need to send a report to the customer or the bad data that these are your bad data. So you need,
Mhm.
that's it.
So if we talk the like, let's say you have figured out this equation, which is actually economic for SMEs, like small, medium enterprises also. But let's say money is not a barrier. In this 2024 year, which tool will be of your choice? Let's say client has big pockets. They want to go at super crazy speed. So you will still pick up this Visual Studio solution with the Kingsway software, or anything else in
For
market
migration,
appeals you. Right.
for migration, obviously I will
Right.
use Studio. 110%.
Studio.
I'll tell you reason why. Okay.
Hmm.
This lies in a very important situation, whether you are doing a migration or you're doing an integration. I have a
Hmm.
simple, whatever you are developing, whatever tool you are using, it will work better as light as it is. Okay. The
Mm.
processing, the transformation, the calculations, as much as less you are doing in that tool, it is more easy to manage for the customer later, especially if your endpoint is any database. Let's say if your
Okay.
endpoint is any database, it's a SQL or Oracle or MySQL. It's always better that when you have a source data, create views on top of your data where you do all the
Mm.
manipulations. Okay. Like I'll give you simple example of pick list. Pick lists are unrestricted these days by default. You can make it an unrestricted pick list also, but by default, Salesforce says that you make a pick list as restricted. But do you know
Hmm.
the fact that the backend, all these pick list field are actually text field only? They are
True.
not dropped.
Right.
So, so let's say right now, the source data, you have a value A, B, and C coming from the source. And if we want that A should be converted to apple, B should be converted to banana, and C should be, let's say, converted into a cherry. So let's say if
Hmm.
you write this code in your transformation in your tool, and tomorrow client says that, oh, now to we have a fourth option called D. So that means someone they need to hire to open the code, whatever tool you are using, go and change over there. Okay.
Right.
Everything they need to go and change, then they need to test and do everything. What if this
Right.
everything is there in the view only in SQL, where the transformation
Mm.
is happening? So what they just need to do,
Okay.
open my view, which is a basic. So,
Hmm.
previously writing views was also very challenging. Now it's very easy. View is nothing, it's a query, which is a saved query. So over there, you can
Right.
just simplify the field and add a case statement. And you don't need to touch your tool. So my learning to your listener is that make sure whenever you're doing a migration or an integration, if you have a backend, your source is a database, then make sure maximum manipulation or data transformation, you do it at that level rather than doing at your tool.
That creates less technical debt.
Yeah. Yeah. So the
Right.
integration, again, for integration, if it's, uh, depending upon the size, it's the real integration or what. MuleSoft, I know these days MuleSoft is big, but MuleSoft comes with a lot of cost also. So that's why
True.
you have Jitterbit, you have Boomi, you have still Informatica Cloud, and now too there are a lot of API to API integration also. It's not from the database. Previously,
Right.
see, when we started the era, we were moving the standalone application to cloud application.
True. Now it's
It's
cloud
been
to cloud. Right.
it's been
Right.
2 decades. At that time, it
Right.
was from a desktop edition to a cloud edition. Okay,
Right.
90%, actually 100% it was. 10% was a new implementation, 90% was moving from a standalone application to a cloud application. Now your
True.
70% of people are moving from cloud to cloud only.
Right.
or they are doing integration from cloud to cloud only. Yes, still there are small
Right.
company, mid-sized company, those who still use other software, or I've seen companies storing their data manually on Excel. Now they are grown and now they want to use Salesforce, so they want to migrate their data. Or they are still using some old applications which are less costly. But see the transformation. So now when you do talk about API to API movement, company use other tools to bring the data.
So I think migration we covered in good detail. Integration, you mentioned a set of tools. Again, if you have to pick by budget for small companies, medium companies, large companies, which will be your tool of choice for integration?
My to always love Informatica Cloud.
Informatica Cloud for
Any
any
correct.
size.
I love. And it's
Okay.
so very
And is
easy.
it
It's just
affordable
that
for small companies also?
it's not that costly. It's not that they
Okay.
have a different pricing model. They, again, they have categorized what all features you want to use, what all connector you want to use, how many users you
So,
want. So they have
okay.
evolved. It's just that after this, Neosoft and Salesforce has got it. They are not promoting it. So
Mm-hmm.
now the problem is every Salesforce partners, they are forced to have a Neosoft consultant in their team certification. So tell me, if you as a
Mm-hmm.
company, you also have a Salesforce partner. Now, if you have 3 and 4 MuleSoft people in your company to retain your partnership who are certified, you will only going to promote MuleSoft because you want to make money out of it, because you have invested that
Mm-hmm.
much. So that is what is happening.
Mm.
But as a
Okay.
freelancer, if you ask me as a choice, I'll still say Informatica Cloud. Quickly, you can do your integration very.
Okay. And if you have to compare the price,
Oh, you can't come.
MuleSoft versus Informatica price, how big is the difference? 2x, 3x, 5x?
800, you can't compare 800 with Bentley. That is the
Okay.
difference.
Okay.
That is the difference. Informatica, I don't know now the current pricing structure of Informatica, to be very frank,
Mm-hmm.
because now since freelancing, I'm not been doing too much of integration.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2000, maybe 2000, 2001, when I did my last Informatica, it was around $20,000.
Year for the
Yeah,
top edition.
to be a partner. Huh? At that time, they
For
used to have
the
just one edition,
one edition
which
only.
used to include
Okay.
everything, which was a discount.
Okay.
Again, you are a partner. If you come through a partner, they used to give a discount also for the first year. So
Okay.
first year probably cost you $15,000. Then around
Okay.
$22,000 was the cost.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
as a true data person, if you ask me, I love Informatica. But again, for MuleSoft, you cannot put anyone to start working on. You need a
You
technical
need a
background
team.
of a person have a
Yeah.
Java. Means the person background should be a developer
Right.
to learn yourself. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Informatica, you can do. That's the difference.
It's point and click configuration and all that. Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's again a very good question point to discuss is what exactly is data migration, and in simple word you can say data migration is migrating something from one place to another, like bird migrate from one country,
Mm-hmm.
one place to another. So that's how data
Mm-hmm.
migration is migrating from one system to another system. And in simple word, integration is also says that okay, two system you are marrying to each other. It can be a one way, it can be a two. Like a company is
Mm-hmm.
using SAP, they want Salesforce, so you can data is flowing between them. That's true, which is actually true. But what actually you have to see it, it's doing the work is very simple. Using tool to migrate and integration is very simple. But to understand the data is a different ball together. Because
Mm-hmm.
data is always a backbone. If you don't have a good data, the application won't. And imagine you are migrating the data. You need to understand the structure. You need to understand the data. You need to actually feel it. Then only you can provide your 100%. For example, or rather, we call it Abhinav. Doing a work is one. Developer, you do a
Mm-hmm.
project. Whatever customer asks you do it, whatever the industry segment you do it. What value addition you have done it, that counts. So value
Mhm.
addition in data migration is not migrating, is to understand the data and then manipulate the data so that it can be properly used. Now, why this big data and everything is coming? What was the logic? Company has billions and millions of records of data, but they are not able to use that data, and that's how AI
Yes,
is
it's
also
trans-
coming in. You know all this. It is trying to understand the behavior of the data with the way of using your data. So, for example, if you have two companies doing the same thing, let's say financial companies, two banks doing the same
Mhm.
banking, okay, target audience is same, their customer and everything is same. They are using the same application, let's say, to storing their data.
Mhm.
But when you will do the data migration, what is the difference between? The difference between those two companies is their behavior. So
Mhm.
you do your business, you selling your product reflects your behavior. Whatever is your behavior reflects in your data. So
Okay.
before understanding the data, you need to understand the behavior. I know it's not easy for a smaller migration to spend that much of time, but at least you can have a sense of the field. And you can actually look into the data to see what is the behavior of this company is, how importance they are giving it to their customer. There are a lot of,
Mhm.
because both the application has the field, date of birth, date of anniversary. One is capturing, one is not capturing. You have the
Mhm.
you are in Salesforce if you look. I do a lot of Salesforce work. People don't use it because in their behavior, it's not that we don't want to do first. They play emphasis is on opportunity less. They don't fill up the fields of the contact person. From that, you can make it out what is the behavior of your company. These things, this is learning, this is understanding, feeling your data. So that is what is the difference. Means sure, I can
Yeah,
speak
I
for
think very
hours and
well
hours.
said. Right, right. And I think we are at nearly 45, 50 minutes mark. So, but
Oh,
for the audience, I think the interesting part is you will get two or maybe four or three more episodes because there are a lot of topics to talk about data migration, data integration with Kapil. And I would suggest you drop your comments in the YouTube videos and reels which will come out so that in the next episode, maybe in opening, we can address them. And probably in the coming episodes, what going to talk about, Kapil, maybe the challenges which people do or
yeah,
mistakes which people do during migrations.
absolutely.
And
Means there's a lot piece. A general common challenges what we face while doing the migration. We can do a session on the data transformation, that what all you should consider before doing the migration about that. And then we can also talk about a couple of common data cleaning and data enrichment, enhancement of your data. So
right. So three things:
because I
mistakes
don't think
partners do. Mhm.
yeah,
So mistakes partners
go ahead.
do, data transformation, data cleaning. So guys, these are three topics which are coming ahead. Again, you have an opportunity. There is a bit of time till we record second episode with Kapil. Drop in your comments in YouTube, Spotify, wherever you want, so that I can ask Kapil those questions and we keep the conversation moving. Before we disconnect in this episode, Kapil, I would like to thank you. And I would also like to ask you one last thing. What do you see in 2024? What kind of work you're looking to do in 2024 with Salesforce and with data, with a lot of AI things happening around?
Yes, it's always looking forward to do something in data cloud. Want to see what exactly
Mhm.
is the data cloud, which is again something new which is coming up. Yeah, we need to get started into
Okay.
preparing into whatever this AI technology is coming, how it is being. Yes, it will take us time. So again, when these things will come, this will be for enterprise initially because there will be a cost in. Not
Too
only the
costly.
cost of the tool, but the cost of the people, the resources who are going to do it. A small
Right.
company probably won't be able to. So, yes, I think data cloud should be the next one.
Okay. Okay. I just have one other parting questions also for you. So one other question is, You have a 2 decade full of career. If you just talk about Salesforce, because majority of my audience is primarily connected to Salesforce. So if you have to give a 2 minute narration of most challenging Salesforce migration project, so which year it was, or and what was the challenge like?
Every project comes with a challenge. One, as of now, I can remember, I probably prefer not to take
Most
the name of
profoundly,
the company.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Please don't.
it was a sort of integration project actually. And
Mhm.
I did it using Informatica, also come up with Informatica 360-degree, MDM, which they call it.
Okay,
So that was the first Informatica MDM project we implemented it, and it was the first for Informatica also. Actually, I'm
okay.
talking about 2016.
You beta testing that new product.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They,
So
they,
it
they must be calling it production, but you are beta testing it.
actually, I was, if you're talking about the beta testing, this FSC Cloud, when the
Hmm.
Salesforce has launched their FSC Cloud, again, I was the part of the team who did the first two projects for FSC Cloud.
Okay,
So at the time, person accounts were not in FSC. It was
okay.
account and contact only. For every contact, we need to create an account because all the FSC
Hmm.
relationship is based on an account. Anyway, we can talk about that. But yeah, the challenging then interesting integration was this was a company who actually owned four sub companies, and their senior management want it was on the same line. They never wanted the Salesforce. All the four companies used to have a separate Salesforce. They never wanted
Okay.
to merge all the four sales company, but they wanted a fifth all, where they wanted all the consolidated information on all these four org to reflect into the fifth org. And if they make any change in the fifth org, which will access to only the senior management, that should be reflected to the respective. So let's say if
For
Kapil
all.
Varma is there in org one, two, not in third or fourth, and it went into fifth. In fifth, you change my email address, it should only reflect it in first and two. And it
Hmm.
has to be on a real time because if somebody is making change in first org, it should go respectively. So that was a
Hmm.
very interesting means. I can say that if to understand that kind of project, you itself need 40 to 45 minutes of session about that. Another big project was another. It is a company who sell the songs. Like you have Spotify. I won't name the
Hmm.
client. It's just like what is Spotify?
Subscription, music subscription.
Subscription. So that subscription amount has to go to the various parties. One,
Hmm.
probably to the producer, to the artist, and maybe to the album. So, depending upon the criteria of that, it goes to four and five, splitting that. So imagine the kind of data what you have, millions and millions, because single transaction. So interesting part was they wanted to have that in Salesforce. So what we said that, okay, you have this huge, we cannot bring all the data into the Salesforce because it will eat up your space. So we used to have PLSQL in between where you used to put their data into PLSQL. In PLSQL, we used to consolidate the data, and then only the consolidated data get into the Salesforce for the 6 months. And after that, every month, the last month data used to go away, and then you used to have the next month. For any particular
Oh.
month, if you want to have view the actual data from Salesforce, you click a button on the runtime, it will get you that particular data from PLSQL, which was on cloud, to look into. That was another interesting, very interesting.
Hmm.
And many more means. If I start thinking in 20 years, uh, many more means I
These can be different episodes of their own.
have
Right.
many, many different means. Each and every project have itself story behind it. So, yeah, that's it.
Right, right. But I think this one was a real good run. I think we have a lot to cover, but I think people will get a good perspective of how things were in 2000, 2004, and now in 2024. And I would like to end this episode by like expressing my thanks to Kapil. Thanks a lot, Kapil, for your time, and
Right.
we'll connect soon.
So
Any
definitely
parting
looking for
words
the next.
to the data
Yeah.
aspirants here?
No, I just think that if you have any questions, please do write us so that we can take a call on which episode we would like to address. You can consider data migration is as simple as it is, which I'm going to talk about in my next session with Abhinav, the challenges and common issues. So looking forward to your questions, guys.
All right. Thank you, Kapil. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.